Beautiful.
So how are we going to get there, Kirk? How are we going to keep preserving this while the population density continues to rise in our Bay Area?
Yeah, that's a challenge. And we had a very successful first 40 years. And as we were looking at how we were going to be preserving additional lands, our board of directors discovered or decided that we needed to look to the future in a big way and to look to the next 40 years. What was the district going to do?
The next 40 years?
40 years, yeah.
Okay, 40. Wow. Okay.
What were the priorities going to be? And so that was the start of our vision plan that we called Imagine the Future of Open Space.
So let's take a look at the vision plan. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the vision plan was a project that we started with the objective of engaging the public in the open space and the work of the Open Space District, and to develop a process that was informed by the best science available. And so to accomplish this, we held over probably 24 public workshops and over 2,000 conversations, different conversations with the community. And then from that developed 54 open space priority actions, that we call them projects, that we want to accomplish into the future. Some of the big goals for those were to provide public access. That was one of the most common themes that we heard as we were doing the vision plan.
I think we have a slide on that about what the community spoke about in those conversations. You've got a word cloud here in the thing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the word cloud, what we did as we carried on these conversations was we took the input that we received and we recorded how many times we heard individual words. And from that, we then produced this graphic. And the larger the word means that that's more frequently that we heard it. So if you're looking at this word cloud, you can see that trails was the most popular word that came up in these conversations. And then you see a lot of words that are kind of the next size down. And those all relate to our management of the land. And that was another very popular theme that we heard in these conversations. The public wanted to have opportunities to get on the land, and they wanted to see us taking care of the land.
So we have heard what they want, and so you guys have this tough job of how do you interpret what they want? What do you do? And what do they expect to see? What does it mean to the public if you do your job?
Yeah, and that was another interesting result that we had from all this work that we were doing to really engage the public and hear from the people that use our open space and value the open space, what do they really see the Open Space District doing for the region? And
I think we have a slide that summarizes that public response.
Yeah, so if we're looking at that, you see that 95% of the people that we spoke to believe that the open space improves their quality of life and is a valuable public resource. 89% of them believe that the open space contributes to the health and the wellness in the area. 79% believe that the open space provides economic benefits by attracting firms, for instance, and encouraging tourism. And then 94% believe that the open space provides a relief from urban density. So we took this information in and we really used that in developing our priorities and our actions that we want to take on in the next 40 years.
So this is a community-driven vision.
Oh, very much so, yes.
So let's turn over to Casey and ask her, given this community vision, what projects is Midpen undertaking now?
Yeah, so as part of the vision plan, we developed 25 top priority projects. These are illustrated here as yellow stars. You can see that they're dispersed throughout the district boundary, and that was a goal of the vision plan, was to develop projects that reached all of our users. These projects cover a lot of different topics, different conservation projects and different access projects. There's 200 miles of new additional trails that are covered in these projects, and the completion of a number of different very important regional trail connections, such as the Bay Area Ridge Trail and connections from Skyline all the way down to the sea.
Casey, what's the Bay Area Ridge Trail? Where does that go from and to?
Well, there's the Bay Area Ridge Trail. The goal of the Bay Area Ridge Trail is to provide a continuous loop that's multi-use around the entire bay. Right now in our region, we have parts of the Bay Area Ridge Trail, but there are still some significant gaps. And this vision plan, these projects are addressing those gaps.
So I fell into one of those significant gaps because I bike.
Oh, yes.
So I cycled out from Palo Alto onto the Baylands, and I followed the Stevens Creek Trail. And every time I tried it, it went a little bit further. And I went further and further and further. I got into the middle of Los Altos, and then it suddenly stopped. So I'm waiting for this to continue. What's going to happen for the Stevens Creek Trail?
So for the Stevens Creek Trail, we have two projects that we're working on. That's more of a collaboration. There's one that's more of the upland Stevens Creek area. It's over here. And that's a collaboration to meet that gap. And then there's work that we'll be doing here, working with cities to collaborate to help meet that gap as well.
Wonderful. Kurt, tell us a little bit more about a couple of these projects. Maybe you're showing us something on the laptop?
Yeah, absolutely. I have two projects that I think we should look at. The first one is a project that we call the La Honda Creek Driscoll Ranch area of that open space preserve. And that project is aimed at opening that preserve for the public to be able to get on it and use it. That preserve is a roughly 5,000 acre preserve. It's an active cattle ranch, and we're going to be providing trails for the public to be able to recreate on that property. The property also happens to have quite a bit of valuable habitat for lots of wildlife.
Including wildlife, like people on bicycles.
Yes, this is one of the uses that we'll be able to have on the property. And you're looking down in this photo, one of the canyons. There are 3 main streams that go through the property, and they provide habitat for steelhead trout, coho salmon, again, red-legged frogs, and San Francisco garter snake potentially on this property. It's a wonderful piece of land.
Okay, let's take a look at another project.
All right, the other property...
Actually, because it's hard to know from this, tell us geographically where we are.
Yeah, so this project, Sierra Azul, is our largest open space preserve. It's 20,000 acres, and it's down in the South Bay. It's south of San Jose, actually, south and west of San Jose. It's the mountain peak that we're talking about on this project is Mount Umunum. It's the second highest peak in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It's actually on the divide. When you're standing on the peak, one direction you're looking at San Francisco Bay, you turn around, you look the other direction, you're looking at Monterey Bay. So it's a wonderful piece of land. And again, this project is a project to be able to open this land so that we can allow everybody to be able to get up and take in these views. It's a very high peak. It's at nearly 4,000 feet. So it's among the highest peaks in the Bay Area, equal to Mount Hamilton, Mount Diablo, and Mount Tamalpais.
So let's take a look at another one.
All right. Actually, I don't believe that we have another one.
Well, I'm thinking about 4,000 feet. And that means that you could have snow there. Is there the potential for snow play for families?
Absolutely. It snows there every year. And so one of the challenges of this project is going to be providing the roadway so that people can drive up there. It was a former Air Force station, and so there is a road that leads up to the top. Our work has been to restore the land to natural habitat, but we are keeping the road, and we're going to reopen it so the public can drive up to the top.
When's that going to happen?
Well, that's a little ways off. It's a big job, but we are working on building a trail right now with a staging area so that you can park and you can hike up to the top, and that should be ready and open within 2 years.
Terrific.